he's not antisocial, but he's not a social butterfly.
So when you said we're going to do a podcast, what did he say?
Yeah, he was like,
his reaction?
Okay. I think Warner being his scapegoat right now
Yeah, he
worked
loves
out.
that.
Worked out.
He was probably like, yeah, okay, I got the kid.
Yeah. Oh, I got to take care of him.
You go talk. I got the kid.
Oh
Awesome.
my gosh, I love it.
Well, we're started here in Bridgestone, and we've got Lane and Hannah Lamb minus Lane. And it's LH Cattle, right?
Yep, that's right.
Awesome. So you guys are raising bucking bulls, and you have beef cows too. What all do you guys have?
So we just have bucking bulls right now. We had bucking stock cattle for a while, but just where we live and the land we have, cattle and bulls at the same time was not kosher. No, not at all. So right now we have everything from my daughter's 2-year-old. He's coming to. She will Futurity him this upcoming year.
Cool.
So we're starting to dabble in the Futurity world again, mainly for the kids. They really want to get involved in the youth. So that's something we kind of capitalize on because bringing them up makes our industry grow. So we are just bucking bulls strictly at our house now.
That's exciting, though. It's a lot of fun to raise them. We've
talked
about that for a long time.
A lot about it.
Getting some cattle and putting it out
Jump
there.
on board.
And we would love to, and we know some people that are actually really interested in it too. So, do you guys? Speaking of that, do you all do partnerships with anybody already?
So we do. So Lane and I started with our own bucking bulls in 2016. So we're going on 8.5, 9 years. And it's taken us a long time to get in a position where we could have partners, because when you have partners, you want to have a caliber of bull that someone wants to invest in, that they can also, even if it's just a hobby, they can enjoy, but they can at least see some of that investment come back. So we actually have 4 partners right now that are absolutely incredible. They're all come from different backgrounds. They all have different involvement. But we have partnerships on anything from a business partner who's partners with us, like on the bull team side of things. Maybe they're not a partner in the bulls. They just want to be in the game. We joke and say the gambling side of things.
Yeah.
Or we have people who buy, half of a bull, and we split expenses and share the name and everything else. So it is something we've gotten into. This is our 2nd year with partners.
Yeah.
And it has blossomed tremendously.
Going well.
It is going awesome. It's like I told Lane, I said, we've worked so hard to get to where we are, and to have the caliber bulls that people want to partner in and have enough trust and faith in our program to tie their name to it speaks for itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's pretty cool.
So we're at the PBR teams event in Nashville this weekend. It's the Stampede Days. And you guys, this is Saturday, you had bulls out last night. Who did you have out last night?
We did. We had 6'5" Sin City out last night, and we had 707 Chuck out last night, and we had 818 War Wagon. Sin and Chuck have been to the PBR World Finals. They went when they were under Halpane, and they are what helped us get to this level. This event is actually our first team series UTB type level event, so it's kind of cool to be at home. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So
it
was awesome
for you guys.
818 had a little bit of a rough out last night, but he had never been anywhere before, anywhere outside of, I'd say, challenger level.
Yeah.
So he had never really been tested. He hadn't had a Brazilian on him before, and so we've kind of seen how he takes it. He didn't take it great last night. He started out awesome and kind of, I'm not going to say petered off, but kind of petered off. And so now he's going to become the new slave at the house, where we figure out his ins and outs. We find out how much heart he has. We show him that he can still accomplish what he wants to, even when he's got someone that takes a lot of rope, or anyone that may be stouter than he is. So we were extremely proud about our first out. Tonight we have Little Buck out. He's a partner bull of ours. And then they brought Sin back out. So I think he's a re-ride tonight.
Okay.
But I've had a ton of people, they're like, are y'all going to be there Sunday? We haven't made it out for the 2 nights. I'm like, I don't know. We won't find out till after tonight.
We'll
you said that to us, and I was like, so they are going, but they don't know. And I was like, so there must be some.
So so when they give you a list of bulls that they want you to bring, and so they gave us a list of 4 that they wanted us to bring that were ours, and 3 of those 4 were out last night. 1 of those 4 is out tonight. Sin had a spectacular out last night. I think he ended up being marked 43.5.
Wow.
He is 9 years old, so
that's
he
awesome.
is
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
loving his job, and it's healthy. So we did haul in 2 bulls tonight, and then after tonight they decide what comes back on Sunday. So fingers crossed that we at least get a couple bulls back on Sunday.
Heck
Yeah, for sure. And it's sure nice that y'all are close to the house.
It is. It is awesome.
You can just kind of go back and forth
It
and
is
not have to
fantastic.
keep them here.
My little boy is in hog heaven.
Yeah.
A couple of the Kansas City Outlaws actually came to the house and got on some bulls this morning.
Oh, cool.
And so Warner, of course, was right in the mix
Oh,
of
yeah.
it. He was, I'm going to flank bulls and asking them questions and everything else. And so it being this close to home,
Yeah.
family's been able to come in. People who come to our events we put on at our house have been able to come see the bulls that they watch at our house at this level. And so it's been kind of a cool experience for the first one.
We want to talk about that more, but I want to back up first.
Yes.
Let's talk about your childhood. Did you grow up around ag and livestock, horses, any of that?
So I actually grew up in a family. My granddad trains cutting horses. My brother now trains cutting horses. So I grew up showing cutting horses. Got into rodeo in my freshman year of high school, and honestly, I mainly did it for all-around points because I was showing cutting at the national finals.
Right.
And, that's not a rodeo sport. I'll be honest with you. It never is. It never has been. But it gives those cutters a chance to go experience what rodeo kids experience.
100%.
And then when I got in college and my parents quit paying my entry fees, I started rodeoing a whole lot more because going to a rodeo was a lot cheaper than showing cutting horses.
Yeah, cutting horses is another level.
Yeah,
I don't think people understand that until they go to a cutting show.
And it is my passion. It will always be my first passion.
Yeah.
But that's what I grew up doing. We actually lived in a neighborhood. Both my grandparents had farms, so I had what I said was the best of both worlds. I lived in a neighborhood where I had all my friends, my pool, all of that kind of stuff, and then we learned chores and responsibilities and taking care of your livestock. And my grandparents, they each lived 15 minutes from us. So that's kind of where my background started. If you would have asked me when I was in high school or college or anything like that, if I would ever have bucking bulls or have a passion for bucking bulls, I would have laughed.
Yeah,
like straight up,
100%.
I would have laughed. But Lane, he actually grew up, his family owned a rodeo company growing up. So he didn't know sports. He didn't know
Right.
ball. All he knew was rodeo.
Yeah.
He rode bulls, he fought bulls, he ropes. I mean, he just was an all-around cowboy, but that was all he knew. And his family actually ended up selling their rodeo company probably 2 to 5 years before he was really old enough to take it and go do with. So when Lane and I got together, we were joking and we were like, let's buy our first set of bulls together. And I was like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
So we kind of jumped in, and that both of our backgrounds in agriculture, his more in rodeo. He understood the bull side of things. I appreciated his passion for it, and I'll be honest with you, I can't imagine my life without it now.
Yeah.
Those bulls become our children, not only a source of income, but I mean seriously, people have dogs, we have bulls.
100%.
And so that when we started, we bought a set of 10 bulls that were probably 7 to 9 years old, good hauling amateur rodeo bulls, haul them to IRAs, even some of the smaller stuff like the SRA or the SPRA. They don't really have very many SPRAs anymore, but Lane was fighting bulls, we were hauling bulls, and I was running. So it was like we were getting paid to be at the rodeos for 2 aspects, and I was getting to enter.
Yeah.
And so it was fun. That was a hobby, and that hobby slowly but surely over the last 8 years became how Lane was making a living.
Yeah.
He fought bulls, and then after he broke his leg, he quit fighting bulls. And he ran equipment, and that was his full-time job. And finally I got to the point and I was like, look, we are both working full-time jobs. We are both coming home, taking care of the kids, taking care of the livestock. And I said, the bulls are making enough money now that if you do not want to work, we call it a real job.
Yes.
But an 8 to 5 job, then don't. In worst case scenario, if you have to go back, you go back.
Right.
And so it literally grew what feels like overnight, but we look back and we were doing comparison pictures and everything else, of course, since we got this. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you really forget. You don't ever forget where you started, where you came from, but you forget to see how much you've progressed.
Yes. I mean,
Until you look at pictures.
We've looked at our little farm that we've just had for 3 years, and I can't believe looking back how much work we've done. But it feels like we've barely scratched the surface.
It does. And I feel like so much you do a little at a time, and so much that little becomes something big, and you don't realize how big it's become until you go back and look at pictures or Facebook posts like popping up on memories. I'm like,
I love it.
Gosh, I know. I told my mom, I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen if Facebook ever disappears because it's gonna be awful.
Yeah,
I made that mistake one time and deleted a profile and
he
had so many old
did.
pictures I can't access anymore.
And then you don't have
They're
access
gone.
to them because they were
Exactly.
from old phones or old computers, and it's awful.
Yeah, but what you were saying about the work, to me, just shows how much passion there is in it because you get so caught up in just doing it and working and being there side by side. That was one of the things we really wanted to talk with you guys about because it's rare that we meet meet other married couples who
that work
do
together.
something
tend
together.
to
Yes.
go into the same passion together and
Yes.
develop that as their thing truly together.
And that's kind of what it became. It's become our things. There's so many times that we could have thrown in the towel. Like, there's been days that I've been like, I'm done. Like, I've had enough, and I'm sure everyone's been to that point at some point. But then you sit back, you realize, you talk, you figure it out, and you look down the road and you're like, I'm so glad I didn't throw in the towel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But when you have someone that's as passionate about what you're doing for a living as you are, it's like when that one person is down, the other person's there. And so it's not like you're throwing in the towel by yourself. That person understands where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And
On your bad days, they're strong.
it
and
is.
vice
It
versa.
is. And when Lane broke his leg, there was a lot of, well, I don't know that I want to be involved in rodeo anymore. That is what I'm good at. That is what I love. And I tell him all the time, if you are 100% healthy enough to go back to fighting, go back to fighting. That is your passion. You are amazing at it. You're one of the best going up and down the road. We're not getting any younger.
Yeah.
And we joke, we're like, the contractor life is working out really well for him and working out for us as a family. And I tell him all the time, I'm like, you have to do what you're passionate about. That's still involved in our world. And he's like, but what if I get hurt? And I'm like, well, if you're thinking about getting hurt, then we're done,
Yeah.
And that's what he said. He said, we have our kids now. We have the business we've built up with the bucking bulls, whether it be putting on events or hauling bulls or whatever. And he said, if I was 5 years younger, he said, I would have jumped right back in. And he said, or if we wouldn't have had this business and I knew that the weight of finances or something like that was on my shoulder, I would have jumped back in.
Yeah.
And he said, but it's just not worth jeopardizing the big picture.
Yeah.
Right.
How long did he bullfight? When did he start? And how long did he do that?
Let's see. He was bullfighting probably at least 2 to 3 years before we got together. So let's see, when was that? I guess that was in like 13 or 14. I guess 12 or 13 he started fighting bulls. And he used to ride and he enjoyed riding. And then he saw the potential he had at protection match or protection bullfighting, and he jumped in there. And he's athletic. I am biased because he is my husband, but there is no doubt in my mind that if he would have started earlier or we would have lived on the other side of the Mississippi, he could have been fighting right here with the guys in Bridgestone Arena. I mean, there's not a doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
And even if he wanted to now, he could still go fight with the best of them, even at 35 years old. So he fought for a good. He broke his leg in 2020. So he fought for a good 8 years, had a good 8-year career.
That's solid.
And he fought, and he even got voted in to fight the SEBRA finals. He broke his leg in August, and he got voted in January.
Oh my gosh.
And I told him, I'm like, he didn't put in for it. He had bought the card, but all these guys voted on him. And Shan called him and was like, hey, look, you were voted in. I know you just broke your leg. I know you just had surgery. And he said, no, I'm fighting. He said, if they have enough faith in me
to vote
me in, he said, I'm fighting. So the first night he felt a little bit hesitant just because you could tell he was hurting. And so he went to him. He's like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this right. So they figured out how to tape up his leg because he broke his tib fib. And they put a rod in his tib, and his fib was non-weight bearing. So it just had to heal on its own. So that bone still was moving as he was fighting.
Jeez.
And so he said, tomorrow night I'm coming out full force.
Yeah.
And so they found a way, the med team found a way to tape up his leg that took all the pressure off of his fib to keep it from moving. And I'm telling you, he fought better that night than I've ever seen him fought. And then, of course, after that, he took the time to heal completely. But, he has so much passion about everything he does.
Yeah.
It does not go unnoticed.
Yeah.
So he had a good run at bullfighting. I hate it ended the way it did. He still steps around by the house like when we bucked this morning. He can't help but just jump in there. But
It's still skills that'll help him out.
Yeah.
Raising
no
bulls.
doubt.
Well, and that's the other thing is our son is handy riding walk trot bulls. He wants to fight bulls. He is obsessed with the Mexican fighting bulls, and he really wants to freestyle. And so that's what Lane said. He said, I can use all of my knowledge and everything else, and I can show him the ropes at such a younger age. He said, because I wish I would have had the opportunities that he has as a young kid on the fighting side of things.
Yes.
And he said, if Warner wants to ride, well, he can ride.
Yeah,
if
no
he
biggie.
wants to fight, and if he wants to do neither, he doesn't have to.
Right.
But I'll tell you right now, he has his fighting bag and he has his bull riding bag, and they are both out all the time.
All the time.
All the time. And that's what I told him. I was like, well, ride until you're big enough to truly fight. You can practice with the dummy now. We can play in the arena. You can mess with your mini bulls, but do what you want. Like, we're going to support you, and we're going to take you wherever we can to provide that for you. So that he's getting to live his fighting days through that and at least give Warner a earlier chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
To go places.
And he's still involved in it. He's still getting to
yes.
feed that passion in just different ways.
Yes.
I think that's a huge part of just being involved in rodeo is we can't do some of these things for forever.
Yep.
So pivoting and finding your new space is hugely important, and it's a hard mental thing for people to go through, and I don't think it's talked about enough.
It's not, and you know, we talk about that all the time of, you know, the contracting side of things is a totally different business. It's a totally different side of things. But as you grow up, your goals change, your responsibilities change, everything changes. And we've been able to, and I say we mainly Lane, but we've been able to make that pivot. You know, he is still getting to be actively involved in rodeo and bull riding, and he is still getting to do what he loves on a different side of things. And this one gives you the ability to make a living a lot further down the road than riding or fighting. You know,
Oh yeah.
You can still get hooked. I mean, I see it all the time. But
yes.
But there's a longevity there on the stock contracting side of things that allows you to still be involved.
Yeah.
And
you can have
that's
guys
a big
if you
deal.
need to help you out. So
Yeah.
you don't always have to be all
You
the
don't
way
have to
hands-on.
be. Yep, exactly.
Yes, so you brought up your kids. So tell us about them. You have two of them?
I do. I have two of them. We have a 5-year-old little boy, and we have a 13-year-old little girl. She is just now getting into the bull thing. She actually got her first calf probably 3 months ago. He's a yearling, and we actually got him from Jerry Beaver, so everybody knows old Beaver. And so it's given her a sense of responsibility. It's allowed her to show us how much involvement she wants to have. Does she truly enjoy it? So, you know, she helps with the feeding, the watering, the tagging, the fly spray, and the learning how to handle and respect a bull, but also have them respect you in the back pens.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, she is getting to learn the ins and outs of the whole picture. Not just, hey, let's load him on a trailer, let's go compete, and let's go win money or scholarship. Or, you know, she's having to learn how to win. She's having to learn how to lose. She's having to learn the responsibilities. And in my opinion, that's something that a lot of kids don't get these days.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree.
It's a huge lack in today's
And so
society.
it's awesome because she's starting to get involved, and we're starting to see that passion in her. You know, you never want to push your passions on your kids.
Yep.
But when they show their own passion for what you're doing and how you make a living, there's no better feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Warner has shown that since day one, but he is his dad's mini-me. So, you know, feeding bulls, watering bulls, loading bulls,
Yeah, he doesn't know any different, though, because I'm sure that he was just
he does. He was thrown to the
stuck
wolves.
along. Yep, exactly.
He was 2
with
weeks old and going to a rodeo.
Yeah.
So they are very much involved. They are both in school. They actually go to a private Christian school, and people are always like, "You drive so far." I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't have the truancy issues. They understand that this is what we do for a living. They want them to get those life experiences, and so I'm so thankful for that because we talk all the time about homeschooling, and I love my daughter dearly, but I cannot homeschool her.
I don't blame you. I don't think I could.
She loves school. She cheers. She is very involved. Now, Warner, once he gets his basics down, I don't mind homeschooling him because he'll work with his dad and we can both do it together. But teaching a kid to read and write, count me out.
Yeah, that sounds like
it's
a
all
challenge
too far
to me.
gone past me now.
Yeah,
I can't keep up.
No,
Man.
count me out. So it is a true family sport with us. Like
That's so
everything.
exciting.
Yeah, I love it though. It's a family affair. You're all involved. So let's talk about that. So I know this is really close to home, but what does that day look like? What do the roles look like if you're hauling bulls somewhere? Walk us through like a day in the life of that.
So when we're on the road, when you come to the PBRs, whether it be velocity level, this level, they have bull housing, and bull housing is where all the bulls are stored. That's where they're all kept.
That's where they're kept.
And so that is our first priority. You know, the PBR is like a well-oiled machine, and I love it because I am OCD and organized. But they have somewhere for you to put your bulls. They have pens for you to put your bulls in. So when you get there, you unload, you get your bulls situated and taken care of. They have what time you load out. So just for an example, here's a little bit different because we're hauling in and out from home because bull housing is actually in Dixon. So we would have had to drive
even
through.
further. Yeah, that's silly.
So bull housing, say they want us here by 3 to unload bulls. We normally get to bull housing by 10 or 11 after we fed. We go back, get ready. We go feed and water. We go back to the room. We get ready. That is the hardest thing about bull riding as a woman. is trying to get ready at
Getting
10:30
ready.
in the morning
Yeah.
for an 8 o'clock perf.
Oh my gosh,
You should see
yes.
me. Like, sometimes I have on my pajamas and I get dressed downstairs in the bathroom.
I don't blame you.
Because my makeup doesn't last that long.
Yeah, no, exactly.
But we go feed in the morning, and then we go back. We're at 10 or 11, and everyone's responsible for making sure their bulls get loaded. Then they get everybody in a line, literally, of trailers. You haul in, you unload. That whole process normally takes 3 to 4 hours, depending on how far bull housing is. And then once you get the bulls situated, the boys love, just taking it all in, seeing the new event wherever we are, seeing the arena and seeing the bulls set up and seeing the other bulls. Even though we've seen the bulls at bull housing for the last 2 days,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they want to see them in this atmosphere.
Of course.
So once we get all that situated, we normally get to go eat. And I'll tell you, whether we're at a bull team event or here, Lane is a nervous wreck. And he doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, so he chews gum.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So you think I'm kidding. So
No,
yesterday,
I do understand.
Yesterday on the way here, he was like, when you go in the gas station, will you give me some gum? I was like, yeah, I'll get you some gum. I came back with 3 juicy fruit packs. I promise you, I bet he went through a whole pack of it yesterday.
Yeah, well,
Probably.
it lasted 30 seconds.
Yes,
Yeah.
all in
So-
30 seconds. And then that's what people don't realize, though, is, that is just the process of getting here. And
Yeah,
then,
that's just the
yes,
getting here
and
part,
then, not the event.
The
And then
event.
your bulls, you get the day sheet. You see when your bulls are. And this is a lot
Yeah.
different because they have a right and left-handed buck and shoot on each side of the
Right.
outgate.
Right.
I noticed that last
Yeah, I
week.
was
Yeah,
we talked about that in
Duluth,
our
and
last
it
vlog,
was
actually.
really
So
interesting.
pointed that out.
It's different. And so Lane was like, hey, I need a day sheet. He was like, I need to know which
Yeah, where
are
are we
my bulls
going?
out on A or B? Or,
Yeah, 'cause there's a different lead-in
Yeah,
for the different
because
shoot.
exactly, because he was like, one of our bulls is bucking under Missouri, the other 2 are under Arizona. He said, so I need to know which one's which on which buck and shoot. So I do all of the organization, paperwork, keeping all of that together. He handles everything else. And so, just getting here and figuring out when your bulls go out and making sure your bulls are taken care of, and then they get loaded on the trailer and we go home. And it's just like last night, our bulls were in the second section, so they were in the second set of 10, and ours were done, but we stayed and watched everything else but got out of here early enough where we didn't hit all the traffic
Yeah.
leaving. But you get back, whether you're going back to bull housing or back to your house, you still got to get everything unloaded. You got to top off water. You got to
Yep.
feed. You got to hay. And so the process for these events start at 8 or 9 in the morning, and you're not done till 12 or 1 the next morning. And
Yep.
so people just don't, it's not one of those things of, hey, go load my bulls for me. Go
Yeah.
take them to the arena. I'll see them later. So it is a full day of preparation and plans and everything else. And so it's different everywhere we go. But that's kind of the basics. You go feed,
Yep.
you go get ready, you go back, you load them, you get them there, you get them unloaded, you dilly-dally for 3 to 4 hours.
yeah.
Sometimes
It's a hurry up and wait,
it
always.
is. That's what my brother's actually in for town. He plays professional baseball, and he came in to watch the Bulls buck this weekend. And I said, with bull riding, it's hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
We have to be here at a certain time. We have to get the bulls situated so that way if there's any issues, they have it all organized. And I said, but hurry up and wait. I was like, now we have 4 hours until it's showtime. And so
Right.
we're going to go find some food. We're going to go walk around, and half the time Lane and Warner will take a nap.
Yeah, hey, that's not a bad thing.
No.
That's,
I don't blame him.
no, I don't
Not at
blame
all.
him either.
Not
The
at
older
all.
you get, the more important that is.
I know. Those naps get more and more appreciated.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So when you're doing your events, the people that you're partnered with on your bulls, what do they get to be involved in that, or is it based on if they want to be involved in it?
So it's really based off of how much involvement they want. Do they just want to be a money investor side and have their name attached to it? Do they want to be hands-on? One of our partners flew in from Houston this weekend, and he had never been to our place, and we just picked up 2 new bulls that he's in on. And so he actually drove down this morning and got to see us feed and get the bulls up for those guys to come ride. But Lane got to show him the ins and outs, and he knows enough about bulls. He enjoys being a part of it, but he doesn't handle them on his own. He doesn't haul them on his own, anything like that. So he's one of our partners that's a little bit more hands-on. We have some partners that, hey, send me videos. We're going to watch it on TV and let us know how it goes. We have some that show up before it starts, watch, and go home. And honestly, anything that works for them works for me.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
super laid back. We're super easy to get along with. So as involved as you want to be is great. And so it just depends on the person. So, I mean, we have some that are really hands-on. We have some that offer to help us haul if we need it, or, mess with livestock on a regular basis. So if we need to take 2 trailers somewhere and we need another truck and trailer, they help with that aspect. But when it comes to the bull handling, the bull flanking, our feed program, everything like that, that's all Lane.
Yeah.
the only time I'm driving him if he's real sleepy.
Yeah, I hear that. That's about the same.
Yeah.
I'm like, meh.
If it's life or death, I'll drive.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, passenger princess.
Yeah,
Thank
exactly.
you. I'll
Exactly.
handle the DJing and the GPS.
Yep, that's me. That's me. But see, when I drive, I'm still handling the GPS. Does that
What
work
is that
for you
about?
too? Yes, please tell me. So we joke all the time. I'm like, can you find food? Can you find diesel? He's like, what? I'm like, the map. He's like, you got it pulled up on your phone. I'm like, I'm driving.
Can't Google it yourself?
I'm driving.
He's like, here, I'll steer for you.
Yeah,
Look it up.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. You got it. You got it.
Oh, my gosh.
But that's typical.
That's funny. I love it.
Yeah.
So we talked about them really kind of soaking in venues. Is there like a coolest place that you guys have or like a bucket list place you guys would want to buck bulls? Answer both questions.
Okay.
Coolest place
So
you've been.
The coolest place we've been so far that we have bucked bulls at this level, of course, is this right now because
Yeah,
this
this
is
is
the only
cool.
level we've had. This is cool. And I think this experience will always be a statement experience because this is our first Team Series UTB type
Premier
level
Series,
event.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is that first level. And so it is at home. So we've been to Bridgestone, for concerts,
Yeah.
for everything. It's different.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
very different. So that is probably going to be a statement piece just because of the relevance or
Yeah.
I can't think of the word. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, just because
The
how
importance
relevant
of it.
and the
Yes.
importance.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. The coolest velocity event we've been to is probably Lexington. I don't know if you guys have ever been to
Yeah.
Horse
Lexington.
Park?
So no, it's
Where's it at?
downtown.
Oh, Rupp
it's
Arena.
in
Yes.
Rupp Arena. That's
so
cool.
one reason it's cool is because our hotel's attached to it. So I don't have to
That's
get ready at
nice.
10 o'clock for an 8 o'clock.
Yeah, you can just run up and down to the room. That's so
bull,
nice.
Yes, it's wonderful. And bull housing is only 20 minutes from there. And that arena is just got an electric crowd. It is. This last year, it was a sold-out crowd both nights. And so, yes, it's close to home. It's only 2.5
Yeah, that's
hours.
not bad. We should go. We have not gone to that
Yes.
event, and we actually should plan to do
So-
that because it's 2 hours from the house
Yes,
from
that
us.
event is, and I think that's what we love it. It's the first event on the Velocity Tour that's a big event. So all of the bull riders are getting back into the swing of things. So you've got a ton of handy bull riders at that event because it's the first Velocity of the year, and they're not spread out everywhere. So I would say that's probably been our favorite event. Now, of course, we took the kids to Cheyenne, and I will tell you, if I could ever have an opportunity,
that was
I would
cool.
drive to Cheyenne just to haul one bull because that is the coolest experience.
Yeah.
But to have bulls in Vegas, I think it would be the coolest thing ever. Whether that be a bull for the ABBI finals or a bull for the Team Series finals or anything, they just say that I've been there for the NFR as a spectator,
Right.
But on the PBR level of things, I just think that would be so cool to experience Vegas on that side of things. We'll go to Vegas for LJ Jenkins' bull team event that he does there, but that's not the same. I mean,
Right.
we'll still be in Vegas and we'll get to have a fun trip, but it's not. We're going there to pay fees to compete,
Right.
So I'd say that that's going to be a bucket list thing that may be achievable. There's a lot of things that would be cool to do, but
Yes,
but
but
really, what's
is
the
it-
reality of it at this
Right.
point in my
It's
life?
an attainable goal.
Yes, exactly. So I'd say this is definitely a statement experience. Lexington was amazing, just because of the overall experience together. But I think having bulls in Vegas for any of the PBR, ABBI, anything like that would be spectacular.
Okay, and then how does hauling to an event differ from putting on your own events at
Oh,
the house?
gosh.
Because I know y'all put on events at the
We
house.
do.
How often do you do that?
So for the last 4 years, we have been doing one event a month, September through October. This year we cut off October because the weather was too hit or miss. But we started putting on events at our house when we did our Time the Knot bull riding. And as a lot of people know, we didn't have a big reception. We had a bull riding for our reception, so that way all of our friends could be there and they weren't missing out on winning money. So putting on an event is probably the most stressful thing I've ever done. It takes the week before event. I don't care if you've had them for 20 years or 2 months. The week before an event is crazy. Making sure all your ducks are lined up, making sure everything's together, bulls changing, bull riders changing, everything else. And people really have no idea what goes into it.
No,
I'm
no,
like,
they just get to show up.
Yes. So
They're like, what am I paying $15 to get in for?
yeah, exactly. So we putting on an event, you get so much sense of accomplishment from, but it is 150 times more stressful than hauling somewhere. When we're hauling somewhere for a bull team event where we're paying an entry fee and we're competing, there is stress on there because you have money on the line.
Right.
And so, but it's a gambling thrill, almost like an adrenaline rush, because you do have money on the line, but you know what kind of bull power you've got.
Right.
putting on an event, it's like, okay, I got to make sure all my ducks are in a row. I have to make sure this makes money. I have to make sure I have enough money come through my gate. And you have to make sure your sponsors are happy. There's just so many I's to dot and T's to cross.
So many places for it to go wrong.
Yes,
100%.
Yes. And, you know, you've learned that when you see something start going wrong, how to fix it quickly.
Yep.
But sometimes that's not possible.
Right.
And so there's a lot, and Lane has standards up here for his events. He wants them professionally run. He wants them smooth run. He doesn't want any mishaps. And so I secretary, and we've been doing bull team events in conjunction with protection matches, freestyles. And I will tell you that when I get done with an event, I feel like Superwoman. I'm not even going to lie, because I'm like, I just secretaried all of that. My payout was correct, everything. I was like, that's awesome. And then other times when you're like, oh my gosh, I'm $5 short. Where is this $5 at? You know, it's stuck together somewhere, or it's gotten stuck in with the sheep riding money or something like that. And I mean, $5 will make you go crazy.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of reward to that, but there is a whole lot of stress to putting on a good production. But hauling bulls, when you're getting paid to be there, there's stress on Lane no matter where we go, because he has high expectations for the performance of his bulls and the reputation he's built and everything else. Me, when we haul bulls and we know we're going to get paid because our bulls are there and they've earned their spot there, I'm like, oh yeah, let me sit back and enjoy this. And he's down there, you know, okay, I can't make this bull do his job. I know he knows how, but you know,
freaking out.
Now when we go to those $1 million bull team events, that, you know, your entry fees are $5,000.
Oh yeah,
so I'm sitting up there on pins and needles. I'm like, okay, are we done?
Do well.
Are we done? And I'm very organized in OCD, so I keep up with the bull scores. I keep up with everything, and that way, at the end of the night, I know, okay, we're way out of the money. Or normally, I'm within 2 places of who's placed, and so it keeps me busy. It keeps my hands busy. It keeps my mind busy, and so But I'm telling you, it's a different ballgame.
Yeah, I have no doubt. We have talked about potentially, like, in the future putting things on at our house, and I'm like, I just have reservations on like a number of things that I get nervous.
No, I don't blame you.
You know, I want to, because it's so important for our area, specifically in the Southeast, and being able to host these things, and like the fact that you guys have done so much of that, and bringing up these younger guys to be able to buck on bulls and things like that. Like, it's so hugely important to the sport.
It is, especially in our area. There's not a lot of it.
Yes, so that's, you know, it is important, and it's something we have talked about a lot. But I can see where it's fills your tank in a lot of ways, but man, stressful.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, the first time I think we met you was probably at your Halloween.
I think so.
And I remember seeing you run by me in a tutu.
Yes. Me and the other girl that was helping me secretary, she was helping me time. We were like, okay, we don't have time to put outfits together. We're going to wear tutus and something comfortable.
It was perfect.
And you know, those kind of events, our Halloween bull runs are fun.
Yeah,
you know, they're a little bit more laid back. They're not as stressful. I will tell you, once we start doing the bull team events and the protection matches and the freestyles, it just put a whole lot more stress on everyone, because there is so much money on the line. We were joking, and I said, Lane, last night, this was Sunday after our first bull team event this year in May, I was like, I had $40,000 sitting with me at my announcer stand. I was like, I had a security guy standing behind me that he wasn't there working security, but I just said, hey, do you mind standing here while I get this sorted out? And I said, that's just that in itself stresses me out. I'm like, I have to make sure this is paid out correctly. I have to make sure this money doesn't go anywhere. And I do miss having our Halloween bull run. I do miss having the laid back stuff, but it's like we've been so busy on the road that we haven't had time to do that kind of stuff. And part of me wishes we did, and the other part of me is like, I'm so thankful to be busy in every other aspect of things. But our events went from kick back, fun, laid back stuff to this is how people are making a living. And so it's great to see the growth that it made. So yes, that's probably the first time we did meet.
It is.
I love it.
It was a good bull, really good bull ride.
It was
honestly,
awesome.
I was impressed, because you never know when you go. When you go to an event that's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
We are in the middle of nowhere.
You drive and you're like, it's out here.
And
you're
like,
who's going to show up? Who's going to enter?
And
we got there, and it was
there was a crowd of people.
Great bulls.
And it was a great bull.
Really good riders.
That event was awesome.
Great.
So all of these guys are starting to go. You know, all the guys that started with us are now on PBR teams or are trying to make the NFR. And I'm so proud of them, which is so awesome, because they started with us or their careers grew with us. But it's kind of sad, because trying to get guys up in that is nearly impossible.
Yeah, it is hard with this younger generation to get them to to put the work in behind it, because it does take.
You
have to have a passion for it. No, because it doesn't happen otherwise.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah. No. So going back to your bulls and the ones you've raised, go back to the beginning. You mentioned that you had a set. Mm-hmm. What do you still have that first set? Who was the first set? We do not.
So the first set we had, we bought from Scott Ballard. He is Ballard Bull Company in Loretto, Kentucky. That is where Lane started his bullfighting career. That is where he got me in with the passion on the bulls, and we bought a set of bulls from Scott that Scott was like, we just asked him, we were like, any bulls that you're willing to sell, let us know. And he was breeding them and had some amazing bulls coming up. So as those bulls started to age out for him, he had younger ones coming up to replace it. And 88 Ahab the Arab, 799 Knob Rabbit, 05 Running Bear, Black Friday. He was a big black baldy that probably weighed 2,100 pounds. And there was a Brindle bull. His number was 16, and I cannot remember his name. But those were some of the first set that started us. And as we started growing, we were like, okay, these bulls aren't going to work for what we're doing. And 88, this is going to sound terrible, but 88's shoulder head is in my freezer at home. We're getting him shoulder mounted.
Mm-hmm. No, that's not terrible. That's honoring him. So it's kind of, he was going to go at some point. That's honoring the bull.
It's going to be part of the family forever now. I joke with
people all the time. I'm like, don't go in that freezer. I was like, 88's in that freezer.
It's occupied already.
So, but 88 was the last bull we had. He died in 2021, I think. 2020. Mm-hmm. He died before we moved to our new house. And he had all the heart in the world. He was 9 years old. He had all the heart in the world. He had bucked the weekend before at a SEBRA deal, and probably the best out he had in 2 years. But we came home, and there is some sort of bacteria in dew on grass that horses get, but cattle can get it. And you can have 100 cattle out in the same pasture eating the same grass, and one hoof of livestock will get it. So we called it, they call it Circles disease or something like that. He walked circles continuously, and we ended up having to put him down. He went down, we doctored him, he got back up, he was good for 2 weeks, back to his own self, and then it went downhill fast. So it really stinks. We bred him and had some calves out of him, and unfortunately we had no idea what we were doing then, and so the cows we bred him to were duds. So there's a couple of his calves that people are using right now that they wouldn't work for what we need at our level right now, but I'm glad to see his bloodline is getting to do something. So those bulls, we either sold, traded them off as we were upgrading or anything like that, but he was the last one we had that started us. So we had him from 16 to 20. Okay. So it was pretty cool. It was a heartbreak to the whole family, and we can't wait to have his shoulder mount on the wall just because it's so cool. But it's different. Yeah, it is very different.
So I know it's hard to pick a favorite because they're like your kids.
Like your
but
babies.
Is there one that's been the most significant? If it's him, that makes sense. But is there one that's the most significant so far, or like just your best to this point?
So, Aaron Halpane is where we've gotten a ton of our bulls from. Their program is unbelievable. Whether they're out of their stock, born and raised, or if they are something that he bought as yearlings and they've come through his program. But 88 is probably our biggest pride and joy because he is the one that lit that fire under both of us. He is the reason we bought that set of bulls. He is the reason that we were able to start hauling to, at that point it was SEBRA deals, and then it was, PBRs, and then it was everything else. So I would say he is probably the most significant when it comes to that aspect of things. I'll tell you, Sin City, he is Lane's favorite. He is Lane's child. He is big. He's mean. He's scary. He's 9 years old, and he's still rank. He is one of the reasons we are here. He went to the PBR finals with Halpane, and Halpane didn't even want to sell him. Lane called him and was like, look, I want this bull. I have money in hand. Price him. Yeah. Well, he priced him, and Lane was like, okay, I'll be there to get him in 2 days. And Halpane was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. He's like, I want that bull. Yeah. And so we've had him the last going on 2 years. And so he has made drastic changes for our program, not by himself, but he has helped get us places. He has helped us see what we could get, what we could have. Right. Grey Goose. He is one that we got as a 2-3-year-old. He was skinny. He was not in the best of shape. He was crazy. And Lane turned him into what he is, and he has won us over $100,000.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really
and so
cool.
That bull is Lane's pride. Like, that bull will die at our house.
Yeah.
And then those are the only 2 bulls other than 88 that Lane's had attachments to that he said they will not go anywhere. We want to breed cows to Sin. Sin's gotten us here. Fingers crossed he gets to come back tomorrow, just because even if that was the last time we bucked him, it would mean so much to Lane.
Yeah. For sure.
Now, my child is Chuck. we joke about it all the time. Halpane had him. Halpane, he won Futurities with him. He went to the World Finals as a 4-year-old. He's 6, coming 7 now. And he won a bunch of Futurity money. Halpane, he did something to make Halpane mad. Halpane posted him for sale. We were going to buy Sin, and I told Lane, I said, I want that bull.
Yep.
And Lane was like, well, we've got enough money to get both of them if you want him. So I called Halpane, and I was like, hey, we're getting Chuck when we get Sin. And he was like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Package deal.
Yeah.
Price it accordingly.
So we went.
Exactly.
We
And
went
I know
and
you're not
picked them up
happy.
together.
So
No.
what?
Yeah, just give him to him.
I'll take him.
Yeah. So we went and picked them up, and Lane, he's a little bit different than a lot of contractors because it is his full-time job, but it's his passion. He will be out there daylight to dark trying to make one improvement with a bull or prove one thing with a bull or fix one problem. And Chuck didn't have any problems. He just wasn't being consistent, and Halpane had already bred with him, and he wasn't working for Halpane's program at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
And now Halpane's got calves out of him, and he's wanting him back to breed with, which says a lot. You know,
Yes.
that's awesome. And so Chuck, we started hauling him to the velocity deals the year after we bought him, and he was just 42.5 to 43.5. I mean, just consistently, and same trip every out. He's only gotten covered once since we had him, and they were 86 or 87 on him at the velocity finals. But bull team guys were blowing us up. Hey, what will it take to buy Chuck? What do you want? What do you want it for Chuck? I'm like, first of all of y'all had the same opportunity to buy him I did for the exact same month.
Exactly.
And I said, he was posted on Facebook. We didn't go ask about him. He was posted on Facebook. And then I said, it's going to take a pretty penny because for us to replace, for what we have in him and what it would take for us to replace him, I would have to sell him to you and spend every dime plus some.
Well, and you did the work.
We did.
Like, that's the
We
thing.
did.
It's like
And
training horses.
it is.
It is.
You know, you spend the time on it and you recognize the issues, you recognize the weaknesses, and you work on those.
Yes.
But it takes a skill and a talent that a lot of people, including me, don't have
It
and wouldn't
is.
recognize.
Right.
That is impressive for you guys to be able to recognize that that's what needs to be tweaked or worked on or focused on.
And that was another thing of ours. I was like, okay, the guys that are wanting him are the guys that we're competing with at these bull team events. Why are we going to sell a bull that we're going to have to go compete against all year?
Right.
And we were lucky we had someone buy a partnership in him, and they did great with him last year, and they decided that bulls weren't the thing for them, and that's fine, you know.
Yeah.
But I told him, I was like, he's one of our best bulls. You know, let us try to sell him to where we can keep him in our program. Let me try to sell your partnership, because we weren't in a place to buy them out at that time.
Right.
So thankfully we were able to get a partner in on him, and someone else purchased him, so that way we could keep him on our program, because he is 6 coming 7. You know, he is starting to. He was hauled. He did go to the PBR World Finals. Now, I think it's awesome that he helped get us here because he's been there for someone else, and now he's been that for us.
Yep.
Now, are we going to have 4 more years out of him? No. But we are very picky about where we buck him. We are very picky about where we haul him because we know his outs. There's less outs than what he's had.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we're very particular about that. And he bucked last night, and we were hoping Keyshawn Whitehorse got on him, and we were expecting, you know, high 80s, 90-point ride if he got him rode. And he did a little bit of his stutter step last night, and he bucked Keyshawn off in like 2.45 seconds.
Jeez.
And so, but he did his job. I went back and watched the video because they marked him 42, which for what they saw, I agree with that. You know, he was a good, solid 42 pointer. But also, it's hard to mark a bull when, you know, they don't
when you're
see him.
only
Sometimes
seeing
another-
2
yeah.
seconds. Yeah, that's
a
not.
4-second ride is
It
a
is.
totally
And-
different
yes.
showcase
And
than a
Chuck,
2.
the thing about Chuck is Chuck at 3 seconds, he gets steeper and stouter. So if you ever get someone to ride him 3+, you've got
You're
your
gonna-
43 to 44 pointers. If not, he's a solid 42 pointer.
Yeah.
But if they ever ride him 3 seconds more, it just gets bigger and showier.
Yep.
And so that's a little bit frustrating sometimes because
It
I'm
is
like,
hard.
gosh, dang it, bull. I'm like, I just want you to showcase yourself the first out. Because Sin, that's what he does. I mean, Sin's first 2 jumps out. I mean, he's kicking the lights out
Yeah.
and he's off the ground. And so it's exciting, but I would say those 4 bulls have been statement pieces in our life because they've all been different. 88 started our passion and started our herd, and you know showed us what we could accomplish. Goose is something that Lane's taken pride in because he literally made him what he is. You know, the bull had the tools, the bull had the heart. Lane just let that bull know he could do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he doesn't owe us a dime. If he wants to get on the trailer, he gets on the trailer and goes with us to team events. And if we don't need him, he stays at home. He does not like staying at home. When that trailer leaves without him, he's like pacing. It's like a horse that's pacing.
Yes.
His mare's the same way. She sees the trailer roll
It
up, and she's
is.
like, let me on it.
Yeah.
Where are we going?
And that's what I told Lane. I was like, as long as he has the want to go, I said, we'll haul him. I said, but you know, when he's done, he's done.
Yes.
And so he is 7, and so he doesn't owe us a dime. You know,
Right.
he He is more than paid for himself. He has more proven himself, and he has taken us more places than we ever thought we could go.
Yeah.
So
cool. For anybody that's listening or watching that doesn't know, what is the age range that you would typically see a good, strong career for a bull?
So depending on how hard they're futuritied, it's just like horses. They all mature at different levels.
Yep.
So if you have a bull that was futuritied really hard, 6 is probably going to be where they max out. Now they'll still be good 7 through 9.
Yeah.
But their prime is going to be before 6.
And futurity would be the dummy on their back, and they're going
the dummy. So futurity, they can futurity bulls 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
But 3 and 4 are futurity with riders.
Right.
So bulls that are not futurity, that maybe don't come into themselves until 4, 4 to 8 maybe their prime. 5 and 6 maybe their prime years. There is very few bulls like Sin 88. There's some bulls down there last night, and I can't remember their names, that are still bucking and as good a health as they are at 9 and 10 years old. But it's all in how you take care of them. Are they a bull that's out with 40 other bulls that's just a bull to you, or are they a bull that you take pride in that is making you a living? We're not somebody that can have 40 to 100 bulls, and those people that are, like, you've worked for it.
I was gonna say, that's a lot of work in
That's
general.
awesome. That's more than a full-time job.
But the bulls we have, I'm not going to say they get babied, but they get pampered just like show horses
100%.
do. Because that's what makes our living.
But that's just it. It goes to show so much, though, when you're taking care of their nutrition and you're taking care of their conditioning and you're taking care of giving them time to rest and recover. Like, those things matter.
They do. They're
in
important.
The livestock.
They do. It's just like, you can't throw one to the wolves and expect it to last 10 years.
Right.
You can't futurity one just like a horse. I mean, it's just like the cutting horses. They put so much stress on those horses before they're mature that they're getting early injuries. They're getting life-ending injuries, or at least performance-ending injuries.
Yes, where they're barely
done.
Sound enough to be a lawn ornament.
And it
we have
happens
that
in
conversation.
everything.
It does. Whether it's
and
race
it's not
horses,
by person.
No, it's
just
not.
Life,
it's just part of
There's
it.
so much pressure on performance at these young bulls and young horses. You've got to remember, they have to mature just like kids do. I can't throw my 13-year-old to the wolves to play football with 18-year-olds. I mean, you can't do it. Their maturity levels, their growth plates aren't even shut yet.
Right.
Yeah. And so I would say prime age overall would be 3 to 6.
Okay.
That is their prime age. The ones that aren't futuritied hard or aren't hauled every single weekend for 10 years straight, you get more longevity out of them.
Yeah.
It's just dependent on their genetics and their purpose. Did you get them for futurity bull? Is that where they topped out at? Are they really for hauling bulls? And very few of them are both.
Right.
You'll see some like Cord and JW and Cowpain and all of them. They have some futurity calves that kicked rear end at futurities and are still doing it this level.
Yeah.
But again, they're taken care of. Those bulls are making them their living. Those bulls they're breeding back to. Yeah. Those bulls are their pride and joy. Yeah. So that makes a big difference.
Yeah, no doubt.
You treat them like athletes.
You do. They are, and that's what they
are.
You have to make sure that they have the nutrition, the supplement, the time off, the rehab, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just you have to put the time and effort and even the money into it that you want to see come out of it.
Absolutely. You get what you put into it.
You do,
exactly.
for sure.
So let's kind of wrap it up a little bit. One of the things we definitely wanted to talk to you guys about is if there's somebody out there, young kid or adult, it doesn't matter, and they want to start getting into it. They want to start owning bulls or even, partnering with bulls. What would be the best advice you would give to somebody getting into it from fresh, very first start?
Best advice getting in, ask your questions. You want to make sure that you are getting into a partnership or getting into the business on the right side. Do not get in business with someone that is all about them. You want to get in the business that is someone's going to come to you and say, hey, what can we do in this together? This is a team effort. Let's do this together. I don't want someone coming to me and being like, or better yet, let's just say I'm a stock contractor coming to you.
Yep.
I don't want to come to you and you hear me say me.
Yeah.
Do not get in business with someone that the other side is all about themselves. You want it to be a team.
Yeah.
You want it to be involved. You want people to be upfront and honest with you. I will tell you, I have partners right now that are in the cutting horse business, and they have been with the same cutting horse trainer for 10 years or longer.
Yeah.
But that trainer was honest and upfront with them about them. They sold them horses that they stood behind what they said.
Right.
They weren't there to make $1 off you.
Yeah.
Go in and make sure you find someone that's not taking advantage of you, whether it be financially or lack of knowledge. Ask the questions. And some of those questions may be, What do you expect out of your partnerships? What is my initial investment amount? What is my monthly cost? I mean, these are all things you have to think about going in, because you go in, get in on a partnership, and you can't afford or don't want to spend the money on the monthly things, then you've caused a mess for both of you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you do, you know, what's the vet bills? What's the feed bills? What's the haul bills? How do you bill out? Because everybody bills out different, and each one of our partnerships is billed a little bit different. Our feed and supplements are billed the same. Our travel is billed the same, but it all depends. Are you a 50-50 partner? Do you own the bull outright? Are we using the bull? You want a partnership that's going to be a true partnership.
Yeah. Right.
Or if you're going to own a bull outright, you want to know what their expectations are.
Yeah.
Right.
So I tell people, ask the questions, because all partnerships don't work out. I mean, and that's okay.
Yes.
People have different expectations. People have different goals. People look at the world differently, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And don't be afraid to have the hard conversations, because in any partnerships are business.
Yeah.
And so you and I could be best friends. You and I could be family, but there's sometimes a hard conversation we have to have. Hey, your bill is due. We got to get this taken care of. Hey, this bull is not working. We need to sell it, or you need to take him to your house. You know, just conversations like that. You cannot get your feelings hurt.
Right.
So ask the questions and make sure who you're getting in partnership has the same expectations of the partnership as you do. And that's the biggest thing, because you don't want to start off on a bad foot.
It sounds like a marriage.
It
does.
It is. It is very much so.
That's
Communication is key.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Thank you for that, Hannah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, so if anybody's out there and they want to follow you guys and where you're going and what you're doing, is there somewhere they can check y'all out on social media?
So I stay on top of our Facebook page 100%. Our Facebook page is LH Cattle Co. There's 2 out there right now. I'm trying to get one nicked because someone copied us, but if it has 1 follower, don't follow that one. If it has a lot of followers, follow that one. I am working on getting better on Instagram. Instagram is LH Cattle Co. too. I've started combining it, so that way maybe I can pick up Instagram, but I let Instagram fall to the side. It was one of those things. At the time, I was working a full-time job 8 to 5, and I was like, Facebook was easiest. I could go in and set it up. So anybody that's wanting to follow us, see where we're going, see where the events are at our house, we have 2 more this year, so that'll be on there as well. Anywhere the bulls are going, if you have a bull favorite, we do all kinds of giveaways. We do ticket giveaways, we do apparel giveaways, anything like that. You can follow us on Facebook for sure, LH Cattle Company, and then Instagram, same thing. I'm working on getting better with it. And then our website is under construction, but our website, I keep up to date once we get it all revamped, of what bulls we have, what their accomplishments are, everything like that. And then we also, if anyone wants in on a partnership or has questions, they can reach out to me on Facebook. I'll give them my phone number, and we can go over the different. I have people call me all the time, and once I tell them the options, some people jump right on board, and some people are like, "That's not for me." And I'm like, "Hey, I'd rather you tell me that than jump in and not." So yes, you can keep up with us on Facebook. That's the place.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you taking time away.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
We're cutting into your 4-hour lunch here. So.
No, hey, you're perfectly fine. I still have 3 more hours.
Oh
awesome.
My gosh, perfect.
It's Nashville. You'll find something right outside this door, I'm sure.
That's exactly right.
Thanks, Hannah.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.